pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take care of it.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. We did have an executive session at 6 o'clock to discuss personnel matters. At this point, I'd like to recognize any resident or taxpayer at Sayre Area School District wishing to address the board about title programming or any other matter concerned properly raised in public session. Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda, including the minutes of the last meeting, conference requests, field trip requests, district volunteers, district services for Title I, a letter of agreement between the Title I services between Sayre Area School District and Athens Area School District for the 23-24 school year, athletic personnel, finance, including transfers, the treasurer's report, and the tax report, the settlement agreement from Jewel, personnel, including employment, policy, including the first reading, and a final reading of policies listed below. And that's it for the consent agenda.
Make a motion.
Second?
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. For the roll call agenda, we have the bills. So I'd like to recommend that bills presented right.
Make a motion. Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the bills? All right. Roll call, Mrs. Jacob.
Will we go with Mrs. Agnew?
Yes, except I abstain on number 1 and number 48, please.
Mr. Hadlock?
Yes.
Mr. Hickey?
Yes.
Mrs. Clement? Yes. Mr. Roof?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
One oh three through 107.
103 through 107. Yeah.
Mr. Petrini?
Yes. All right, motion carries. So with that, high school principal's report. Mr. Howard.
That makes sense. I put batteries in it tonight, and it's not going to work for me. Mrs. Seeley couldn't be here this evening. She did send along a report. Our esports team will compete in their second scrimmage tomorrow after school, and they'll officially kick off their season next week with their first regional match, which is happening next Tuesday after school. Thank you to Mr. Winiowski for leading this group. Also today, in grades 6, 8, 10, and 12, we conducted the biannual PACE survey. So that's the survey they use to kind of see where the state of Pennsylvania is with their youth and where they can do new programs and spend money. So we did our part of that today, and will be another bit of time before we get results.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Elementary school is around.
If that gets loud, just turn that down. We had our PBIS assembly on Friday. Thank you to my PBIS team members, to the Sayre Junior cheerleaders and football players. They welcomed us into the gym and did some cheers. And then I have an important interruption from a Rise News broadcast.
News. We're going to see how teachers see Rise in teachers' classrooms.
I see Rise every day in my classroom with students using art. They respect one another when others are talking, they're quiet and listening.
Mr. Vaselli, where did you see Rise in the school this week?
I saw Rise this week for the I that stands for integrity. I saw students taking folders and information back and forth to the office, and I could tell that the teachers really trusted them and they were trustworthy to follow those directions and get the stuff where they needed to go.
Today on Rise News, we are interviewing Ms. Skirvon. How have you seen Rise in your classroom lately?
I have seen Rise in my classroom with self-control, and my students were able to walk down the hallways with their hands to themselves.
Mr. Trucker, where did you learn Rise?
Hi, Emmett. I saw Rise happening, not only with my own eyes, I showed it. When I went up and saw how hard Mr. DeHaan was working, and I went into his room and offered to help him because I felt what he was going through.
You can Rise at any time and get a red ticket.
This is Rise News signing off.
Who did that production? Who created that entire production?
The PBIS team members that are part of that.
Who leads that team?
Oh, geez, I hope I don't forget anybody. Mrs. Gatos, Mrs. Morrell, Mr. Satterley was our MC. I know there's more. Mrs. Edgerton.
That's okay, I'll put you on the
Drawing,
spot.
yes.
Maybe next time you can share. I know there's a team of teachers that work on your PBIS committee periodically and do a variety
Yes, they
of
met
components
today.
for you, so-
Yes, we have a secret surprise coming. We won't tell what's next in October, will we, Mr. Claypool? That'll be my next update. So thank you to everybody for that. We had a great time. The kids were very excited. The kids that had their tickets put them in buckets, and then the prizes are drawn while they're in the assembly, so everybody gets to see their good work. They also had the opportunity to share how they saw Rise in action as Mr. Sadley went through the kids and talked with them about it. So it was a good time had by all. We also had some Ed Insight professional development with Scott Hagee. Talked about last year's PSSA results, how to drill down those results by student, how to drill down by anchors, can rank them from greatest in score to least in score, or vice versa. So we're going to pursue some more interventions with those scores and make sure that our kids are ready to take their PSSA test. We've already talked about some strategies, and I have teachers putting them in place. For example, we felt that maybe the kids could have some more interaction with online tests. A lot of the teachers have taken their tests and converted them to a Google form already. So just an example of one thing that we're trying to do to help the kids be better prepared for the test. Again, thank you to Scott Hagee for that. We had a very well-attended grandparents' tea. It was a fun time had by all, so thank you for everyone who visited the elementary school. And September 26th and 27th, remember to bring your smiles. It's K-3 on September 26th, Picture Day, followed by September 27th, 4 to 6. As Mr. Howie mentioned, we did do our pay survey. I'm sure Mrs. Agnew will talk about falling into fun, October 7th, 10 to 2. And Mr. Cole has all of his jobs and responsibilities done. So thank you to Mr. Cole. Mrs. Agnew and I are still working on our responsibilities at this time for that. So I think that's all that I have. So thank you, everyone. Oh, I do have one nice story to share. So they're doing the repointing at Snyder. And Mr. Green and his team came, went over the architectural plans, and they took white spray paint and spray painted and outlined the points that needed to be fixed on the building. So I went out to Walker duty the next morning. And it was heartwarming to hear because the kids at school thought someone had vandalized their school, and they were very concerned that someone would do that to the building. So we took lots of extra time and made an announcement and thanked them for their care and concern. So it was nice to see that they love their school as much on the outside as they do on the inside. So just had to share that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Morrell.
You're welcome.
Director of Student Services.
I actually do not have anything to report today.
All right. Thank you very much. Director of Student Academic Affairs.
I saw that, Barry.
I'm sorry.
Barry's clapping.
Did you want to?
Beginning of the year benchmarks are complete. I got the cadence data from Mrs. Wade today. Spring math, kindergarten, it takes them a little bit longer to get into the routine and stuff. They finished theirs up in the last 2 school days. Our monthly induction program started since our last meeting. Obviously, it's a state mandate that we now have to have a 2-year program. It's the theme of my report tonight, state mandates. And our 3 days in summer where we covered, I actually went back and counted over 75 different topics, so it was a little bit like drinking from a fire hose, like Dr. Delosio likes to say. We have our PD Professional Development Day on October 9th planned out, and that also includes 2 state mandated trainings. Currently, we have 19 full-time solo students and 8 hybrid students who are each taking 1 online course for a variety of reasons. That's the 8 hybrid students are taking 1 course. Finally, I guess if anybody, of course, I let him go today. He's finally certified. Through no fault of my training, Oliver did pass his test back in August. I just realized I hadn't really given a report since then. So he's official and roaming. Or not roaming, the halls. Serves as a speed bump if you come into the admin office. Sometimes you have to step over him. There's got to be tell you. So that's it for me. Sorry, I'm walking away before I finish. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you very much. PSBA and
All right, so I have those from Mr. Cole. For PSBA, let the board know that at our first meeting in October, we'll be doing the vote for the administrative positions up for election. And so that information will be on the next board agenda. May I just go right to NTCC? So this coming Thursday evening is our JOC meeting, our board meeting down there at NTCC, and I'll be there with Mr. Cole. Work is still taking place on the welding pavilion. It should be done sometime this fall. And they are in the process of looking for candidates for the IT instructional position. And they also have a new enrollment process that was board approved and shared with our guidance offices and the elementary or the high school principal here for that process that will happen, and it will include the NTCC this year if the seats are filled and there's a waiting list. They'll go through a process to be selected to go into the program. Thank you.
So I have nothing, so I guess the superintendent's report.
Back to the superintendent's report. Okay. So I just wanted to share that Mr. Cole and I attended the PSBA onboarding training last week in Mechanicsburg and worked through the process of a 1-year onboarding for new board members. So we'll be prepared to do that for this upcoming school or the upcoming year starting in January. I'd like to announce that as the National Honor Society advisor that there are 25 eligible juniors and seniors for National Honor Society, and those applications were mailed to their homes late last week, and they're due the first part of October, and the National Honor Society induction ceremony will be happening in November. We received the Jewel settlement. It'll be a little over $2,000 that the district will receive, as there were thousands of districts across the United States a part of that class action lawsuit. We received at the beginning of this year, in the springtime, from the Altria settlement so this is the follow-up. Jewel broke apart from that class action suit, and so they settled separately. And looking down, Mrs. Morell, book fair Saturday. I was out in the yard working, as I'm right by the elementary school. Nice turnout for the book fair. I think that was something they did new this year. They brought in on a Saturday. There were parents, and they had a playground activity for the students, so they had a nice turnout, and they gave prizes.
Gave prizes, and then ice cream was sold, so it could go back to help fund the yearbook. I was over there a little between 12, 10, and quarter to 1, and the playground was packed. So, and that's when all the fun things at the book fair came out. So, fun time was had by all, and I think there was bags full of stuff that they didn't get to see during the week. So, it was a good time.
Yes. And my final statement is just for everyone to keep the Jersey Shore community in your thoughts and prayers as they have lost one of their students. And I want to thank Mr. Claypool and his team for the show of solidarity with the stickers on our helmets this past Friday evening. And so just keep that family and that community as a whole in your thoughts and prayers. So I thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Delosio. So with that, does anybody have anything else to report?
Can I just do 1 or 2 really quick athletic things?
Sure.
Athletic committee is going to meet next Monday, time to be determined. There's another meeting that's getting scheduled, so once that gets taken care of, we'll flex out, figure out when. But next Monday, athletic committee meeting. I wanted to give a shout out to a couple of groups on Sunday that worked together to put together where our coaches went and had the opportunity for younger kids to come in and meet them here at the school. The Redskin Club worked really hard to put that together. Mrs. Abby here at the high school worked very hard to connect with all our coaches and to get everything that the Redskin Club wanted ready and available for them. And that event was Sunday, and I believe we had 15 coaches turn out to meet kids. They ran it in conjunction with the small fry games against Waverly that day, which I've heard we won, so that's good too. But anyway, shout out to the coaches, the Redskin Club, Mrs. Abby for putting that all together. I wasn't able to make it, but from what I understand, it was a really good event for folks. So kudos to those groups.
It was nice to see the football players down there mingling with the songs.
That's what I was gonna say, the
It
varsity
was really
players
nice. They were playing with.
were like down
okay.
the sidelines with the junior Reds.
Yeah, they did really good. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that was really nice to see.
And Deb just whispered in my ear that the Sayre won both games they played.
A and B.
We'll say that again.
Just
before the end of the meeting.
And I want to add, as Mrs. Morel stated, Fallen into Fun is October 7th, 10 to 2. It is still at the Satterley Creek Environmental Center. Mr. McBinko was gracious enough to still let us be up there for our event, so we've got that, putting it together, but it's going good. Hopefully people can come up and enjoy it. That's all.
Thank you very much.
Move for
Anybody else?
adjournment.
Got a motion to adjourn? Got a second?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, Mr. Shaw. Thank you very much, folks.